Is there anybody else in the committee who, strike that, anybody else in the public who would like to testify at this point? Hearing none, thank you all very much. We'll close the public testimony. We'll move on to the next issue, which is setting our next meeting. I know there's been some initial ideas about what may be the best day for everybody on the committee, and a Wednesday was thrown out. Does anybody on the committee have any suggestions other than a Wednesday, or does a Wednesday seem to be a sound day to move forward with our next meeting? Anyone? Wednesday seem like a sound day?
Steve, question about that.
Sure, Rep.
Are
Newberry.
we setting up our next meeting, or are we going to set up a scheduled meeting? Because
Our
for
ne-
me, I can make anything work as long as I have advance notice.
Yes, I'm with you, I'm with you,
As I'm
brother.
sure you'd
It's-
appreciate it,
oh,
so,
I'm
yeah.
just as bit, it's crazy. So I think we're setting it up with the intent that it'll be on a Wednesday, and then if that seems to work for everybody, we just stick with it, so that all your other schedules come around. Does that seem reasonable?
Mr. Chairman, I'm
Yes.
confused. Today is Thursday. We were starting to Wednesday?
We were talking about, there was a discussion, and I talked to our clerk earlier, about possibly Wednesdays for it being the day to meet on. So if Wednesdays don't work, if it's another day that's better, a Thursday, we can certainly put that out there. Just looking for everybody's input while we're all here in an open context, so we can tie it
Wednesdays are more
down.
difficult for me, but.
Wednesday's more difficult for you two? I have a Bible study class on Wednesdays that would evaporate if I come, but I was, willing to come. So Thursday's a better day for me, to be perfectly honest with you.
Me too. For me too.
Thursdays?
Mr. Chairman, how often?
Mr.
Every other week, every week going forward?
Well, we're going to pick the date. I know we were looking at as early as we can, maybe 2 weeks from now. Give us a chance to digest this data initially, reconvene with more of an informed mind. So I was thinking maybe 2 weeks on a Thursday. Does that sound reasonable? Well, Rep. Phillips the chairman has a conflict on.
Next week, I have no problems with Thursday, but the week after, it's something that's been planned for months, so sorry.
That's okay. We don't want you, we need you. So, how about if we go out? Would anybody have a problem with going out either weekly, or we'd have to go out 3 weeks? What are you comfortable with?
Weekly.
Yeah, weekly. Now that we started it, I really don't want to push us out too far. Why don't we say we'll meet next Thursday, okay? And I know we're going to be rotating these meetings. I think, Mr. Clerk, are we going to be using this same venue every time, 313? Is that? Okay. So why don't we say, I'm sorry?
There'll be some,
Right.
down the road.
But
When we're in the State House, it'll be here. When we begin
Go on the
to
road.
show the meetings.
Oh, yes.
To the town, of course.
Thank you, Henry, and I knew that. I just did not. Thank you for articulating on that. In other words, when we're here at the State House, we'll meet in 313 at this set time, and then we're going to be going out around the state. We'll be in Woonsocket. We'll be all over the state, South County. We're going to go around and try to reflect as many different districts as we can. So with that said, do I have a motion that we can meet again next Thursday at 4 p.m. here in 313? Senator Sosnowski makes a motion, and seconded by Rep. Diaz. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Nay. Any other housekeeping before we leave? Senator Metz?
Yes, just some people had called me. Do they have to pre-register to testify, or can they just show up?
Well, I'd ask that, Senator, and that's a great point, to the public listening out there, I'd ask if you are going to testify that you try to pre-register so that we know who you are and we know how many people we have in advance. Really, not so much who you are, but so that we know how many people we have in advance. But I'm certainly not going to turn anybody away. As you saw tonight, the doctor and Ms. Singh, there were several people in the audience who were allowed to testify. So as a courtesy, if you would be able to sign up in advance, it would help us to know how many people. But if you can't, we certainly wouldn't turn your way.
And what number?
What number at the State House?
What number should they call if they want to pre-register?
Well, I don't know the number off the top of my head. We'll get that and we'll post it, unless we...
this one right here?
Do we have a number, Mr. Clerk, while everybody's here? If we don't, we certainly will get that number and make it available. Thank you, Rep. Kazarian. Is it on the bottom there?
Yes.
Let me, if you have any questions, please contact Grant Pilkington at 222-1886. Let me say that again. Grant Pilkington, our clerk, at 222-1886. Thank you, Rep. Rep. Diaz, you have your hand up. No? Okay. Any other questions? Anything?
I just have a comment.
Mr. Chairman, Chairman Phillips.
I just want the public to know and that we are on time constraints, so we're going to try, we need to do at least 7 meetings, and we're going to try and get as many as we can within the time frame that we have, being cognizant of everybody's outside lives too, holidays and things like that. So we need to be going around the state, hit one at least in every district or every county that we have, which is 5. So we're going to have at least 5, plus we're going to have, I want one in the northern part of the state, and I will be point blank saying that the reason why is because the northern part of the state actually gained a lot of population. So we want to have as many people up in that area be able to testify and find out what type of maps they want drawn too. And if there's other areas that we need to put an extra meeting in, I think all of us would be more than willing to do that so that we are as transparent as we say we're going to be. I want to make sure that everybody understands that we're trying as a commission to be as transparent as we can be. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Rep Diaz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Clarification, the numbers of meetings that you just mentioned has to be accomplished before the end of the year or before,
We have to have our final report into the Senate and the House by January 15th. So we have a total time constraint. That's in what was passed as the bill that was passed in the House and the Senate at the same time this past year.
Thank you very much. And we are going to try to reflect, as the chairman said, each county. You know, it's impossible to get to every district, but if we can get to the main counties around the state, then we'll be able to get our hand on our pulse on the feedback from the 4 corners of Rhode Island. Any other questions from anyone else? Thank you very much, everyone. At this time, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
So, a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week.